But right now, any woman can say anything and a man's career is ruined. Now, a lot of women can say things that are true and their career should be ruined.
By the way.
But the problem is
by the way, hold on.
that any woman can say anything and that's it, it's over. Is that how we're running businesses now?
There is...
Ooh, y'all niggas better stay safe out here, man.
I am so sick of this idea that we should always accept that in every situation a woman is a victim. I'm not empowered by that. I don't find that to be empowering, right? The Me Too movement to me disempowered women because it said women never know what they're doing. They just are always little flowers and men take advantage. The truth is that women take advantage too.
That would make it a felony to falsely accuse someone of rape or sexual assault. The measure specifically targets false allegations that are knowing and malicious, but it's already a crime to file a false police report. And if the accused were proven innocent, the person making the allegations under this bill could be responsible for paying the accused's legal fees.
Can I make one other point, which is this whole thing of dredging up allegations that are 10 or 20 years old, I think is absolutely awful.
Why?
Because it's a he said, she said. It's impossible to prove, and there are people whose careers and their lives are completely ruined by allegations that are brought a decade or more after the event.
I was a man and I wouldn't hire a woman. I wouldn't do it. And I say it all the time, and I say that, and that is something that women need to consider when they're talking about this stuff. When you are saying that a man complimenting you and saying, I really like your outfit today, is a form of sexism. If you're a man, why hire a woman, right? So you fought all this time to be able to get into the workforce only to say these are going to be the rules. You know, if you say anything, even if you compliment me, if you look at me, anything, I'm going to have a reason to fight you. And by the way, you're going to want to settle and pay me because even just the stain of an accusation is enough to ruin men.
You're bringing in something else. Ava, I would like to know whether you accept that women, and particularly teenage girls and young women, sometimes give out pretty mixed signals. They give out mixed messages. They're not even sure what they want at any given time.
I think we're victim blaming.
I don't think that's victim blaming.
Come off
So
it.
do you
I think we are straying into
Come
a
off it. Every sinew of your body knows what she just said.
Do you
has a
accept
merit
women
to it.
can sometimes
It's a woman
give off
saying it
mixed
too. Come on.
messages? Come on, they
Look,
can.
I mean, sure, but
That's
I'm
a
not.
non-denial.
But I'm sure.
So if you're a guy, right, in this society, in this Me Too environment, in this litigation-rich environment of misogyny and sexism and all of these claims, what is the value add? What's the risk? You know, the benefit and the risk. I can't do the analysis and say I'd just be like, no, I'm just not hiring one. Give me all.
Some of y'all women are going to
Step
end up
up.
being single forever.
Now, a lot of these females out here fake. Like this one over here, plaster and makeup, like her face is drywall every 5 minutes in the mirror and shit. Hey, if you gotta do all that, little mama, you ain't pretty at all. Going out in public or at the workplace, skirt so damn short they can down and see the bottom of your ass cheeks. Now, my thing is, you don't feel uncomfortable coming out the house like that? Like going to work or being in public? These are the main ones making all these false accusations while wearing about 10 different faces. Always playing the victim, don't take no accountability. These foot dragging hoes like these will shit on the bed and blame it on the baby.
I just also I'm stricken. I'm chilled by some of the cases I'm seeing now of people being run out of their jobs, bankrupted, and absolutely no due process.
I will say again.
But if it is he put his hand on my knee.
You're talking about the journalist movement. The journalists that bravely came forward and told about how cabinet ministers had touched them inappropriately on the knee, which was horrendous.
I'm not bothered about touching on a knee. I mean, 20 years later? 20 years later?
Yes, but
someone should be dragged through the courts for
entire
that.
sexual harassment culture that is in Westminster and is still really pervasive at the moment.
See, here we go with the dumb shit. You notice that they could wait 20 years later and then come up with some bullshit accusations talking about they touched me on the knee. And notice how she accused several men in the workplace of all them touching her on his knee. So it clearly sounds like a case of you was getting ran through. Like you were the ones that they were just treating like a doorknob, everybody taking their turns and keep it moving. Or the story never happened, they never touched you, and you just trying to find a quick scheme up out of all them bills you got. But now it's like as time go on, years pass, 20 years later, your life all fucked up. Now you got all type of loans and debts and school loans and insurmountable debt. Now you're trying to find a way up out of there through a quick scheme.
It looks like the world owes Trevor Bauer a big apology. Trevor was able to finally vindicate himself and prove what he had been saying all along, that he was innocent, and that this woman, his accuser, was nothing more than a liar. And Bauer's evidence was a bombshell.
Next victim, star pitcher for the Dodgers. A text Lindsey Hill sent to a friend before she ever even met me. Then, after the first time we met, net worth is 51 mil. Bitch, you better secure the bag, was the response. But how was she gonna do that? Need daddy to choke me out, she said, being an absolute whore to try to get in on his 51 million.
The interesting part, no one for a second questioned her story. I have to ask, what does that say about our society and its attitudes towards men? That they are all deemed to be scumbags if a woman says so?
And the easiest thing for women to sell to get what they want is sex, right? This is what Tag the Sponsor proves. I want to be rich, I want to have money, and I don't want to work, so I'm going to sell sex. I have no talent and I want to be an actress, so I'm going to sell sex. Sex is a power that women have. Being beautiful is a power. Being aesthetic, being feminine is a power that women have. And women tend to wield that power heavily throughout society.
So, the Me Too movement, which originally gave way to give a voice to actual victims, has now transformed into a manipulative tactic for women to make excuses for their own degenerate and immoral behavior. And the Me Too movement, it's clear it means nothing anymore, except to strip innocent men of their power.
That's how a lot of couples ended up meeting each other. And also, that's how a lot of couples ended up cheating on their spouse through their workplace as well.
No means no, that's another one. No means no. It's like, no, it doesn't. All right? Look, no means no. No, that means no. All right, but no, stop it. What are you doing? Oh my God. You're being so bad. Stop it. No. Yeah, that's not a fucking no. That means I want to do it, but I'm afraid you're going to judge me, so I'm just going to make it look like it was your idea so you don't figure out that I've already performed this act with 40 other fucking people. Right? But then you go to court and you get a bad read and there's some guy reading it. Your Honor, she said no. Stop it. What are you doing? You're being so bad. Yeah, and you're just sitting there like, she didn't fucking say it like that. She didn't say it like that.
Anyone explain to me how I have 2 degrees? I have 2 degrees. Oh, and a certificate. A little extra, right? I have a certificate. May not be a master's, but it's something extra, along with the 2 degrees, you know? I'm trying to apply for jobs right now.
I see why don't no bosses want to hire you. You look like you can't wait to go in somebody's business and start chaos in it.
At a plant I worked in many years ago, a man told a woman she looked nice. She smiled and said thank you. A second man told her she looked nice, and he was reported to his boss and reprimanded. Can you guess which man was VP sales and which was the janitor?
Casino mogul Steve Wynn stepping down as CEO yesterday after allegations he sexually assaulted employees. But is time really up?
I have a big concern. And it's what's going to happen in hiring going forward.
Mark Yoseloff is the director of UNLV's School of Gaming and Innovation and hired hundreds of men and women as former CEO of Shufflemaster. He says this movement will make it tougher for women to get hired, especially when they're up against a qualified man.
They might elect to hire the man because they are concerned that down the road, whether they do anything wrong or not, there might be a she said, he said.
Yoseloff says current CEOs he knows have already opted not to sit in meetings alone with women in fear they would do something to spark a complaint.
It's a craziness that no executive wants to have to pay.
Good men have nothing to fear.
But former state senator Helen Foley disagrees with Yoseloff, saying this movement is quite the opposite, only pushing employers to take a closer look at the history of who they're hiring.
Men should not be fearful of hiring women. To the contrary, they should take a careful look at everyone they hire and make sure that there hasn't been deviant behavior in someone's past.
Both did agree on one thing. This new movement is making changes, and only time will tell what they are.
Well, Yoseloff did say that he has had to fire people based on sexual harassment allegations. And of course, not hiring someone based on their gender is illegal.
True enough, but it's not illegal to tell their ass, we'll call you, and never call their ass again. And for the companies that do want to hire them, Give them a receptionist job way at the front with a big ass camera on them. Don't even come back here. If you need to go to the bathroom, go next door across the street or something. Don't come back here at all.
Alright, what up guys? Welcome to the Just Curly Things YouTube channel. I want to say something to the women out there. If we keep suing our bosses for damn near everything, oh, he harassed me this, he harassed me that, blah, blah, blah. And I'm not saying there aren't cases of real harassment, but most of y'all will sue your bosses for damn near everything. Do you know what I would do if I was a boss and I kept getting sued for quote unquote harassment? I would just stop hiring women.
Now, women may be less likely to be hired for jobs where they are required to interact with men. The new study found a shocking 21% of men and 12% of women report they are personally more reluctant to hire women for jobs that require close interpersonal interaction with men, like business travel. And these are just the employees that are aware of their bias. There are likely more that are unconsciously biased in favor of men for these jobs. In addition, a bias against attractive women emerged. Almost 1 in 5 men and about 6% of women report that, as a result of Me Too, they are less likely to hire attractive women. These statistics are pretty staggering. To me, this Me Too backlash on women is nemesis catching up with them. I mean, do you know how many innocent men that have lost their jobs to Me Too because they are not attractive to the women that reported them to the hiring manager's office, or because the men rejected them? It's payback time. Companies should continue what they're doing, non-compliance. Avoid women like the plague. Don't help them, don't talk to them, don't hire them, and don't even think about being friends with them.
I worked for a company that had 80% women in the office. A memo was sent out to all men about being respectful and minding language around work colleagues. So we started ignoring the women. Never spoke unless needed something, and just to be cordial in the mornings. And when leaving work, it drove them mad. They all started wearing more provocative clothes. Hair and makeup was off the scale. It sent them freaking crazy.
There's just a scandal that came out. This woman falsely accused several young men of doing something to her. These young men tried to delete themselves because it was absolutely a lie. Now, evidence came out recently where she went to the store, bought a hammer, beat herself.
Oh my goodness. Oh my God.
These young men, if it wasn't for other men coming around and supporting these young men, and just because she was a woman, she was believed, and I'm not saying that doesn't happen. I actually come from a family that's happened, but I still know several stories of women who have falsely accused, ruined these young men's lives. And guess what? You know what society says after that? That young woman, this is one woman who was finally held accountable because of her lies and destroying their life. But do you know what happened? Those young men, most of them who have been falsely accused, they lose their scholarship, lose their jobs, they lose everything, and then there's nothing that's said. If it goes away and it wasn't true, you never hear accountability. You never hear any woman go to jail for falsely accusing those men.
There needs to be a law for it.
Back in the days, you know, most of the time you would wait for someone to make the first move. It might be on the first date, it might be the third date, whatever. It could be the man, it could be the woman. But now, all my friends have noticed that the man has stopped making the first move. All my girlfriends are like, they're waiting. It's a third date, fourth date, a week later. He hasn't gone in for the kiss. He doesn't do any touching or anything. And I've asked my dude friends that are single, and they were like, you don't know where a woman's gonna go with that story anymore. I ain't touching nobody. I have heard that. So yeah, I have heard there's something going on out there, and it sucks because the Me Too movement is so strong and so powerful for the people that need it, but it shouldn't ruin the maturity that we should have within intimacy and relationships.
Is a reporter whose name I will not mention, a very good reporter who was called in, was not told what he was accused of by an anonymous person, and he was immediately dismissed. So not only do you not get to face your accuser, in this case, you don't even get to know what the charges are against you. So when you hire a lawyer, you can't defend yourself. And again, if this is where this movement takes us, this is very dangerous, and not just dangerous for men. This is dangerous for everyone.
Men have started to avoid women in the workplace because they know one call to the human resources manager from a woman
can potentially make them lose their source of income and reputation. Men are afraid they're going to get fired. Another study that was conducted to evaluate the effects and consequences of the Me Too movement found that men are becoming noticeably less willing to approach their female peers in the workplace. Research suggests that more than 20% of men avoid speaking to and interacting with female coworkers privately. A third or more of men stated they would be terrified to be alone with a woman in the study's primary research, which questioned men how they would feel if they were in the office alone with a woman. Why? Well, the main reason is that they just don't want to be in a situation where they're framed for any sort of allegations against them by the women. They don't want to lose their jobs over some women. And it's pretty easy for women to have a man fired from his job these days. It's just one email, call, or conversation away from human resources and senior management. But when it comes to hiring young female graduates who grew up in a completely feminist environment, it's a different ballgame for companies. Companies that have had the misfortune of hiring young female grads have had to rehire fresh employees again. This is because these young feminists totally rebel against company culture and want all the authority to themselves. If, God forbid, a new female employee has a manager who is a male, she will start making allegations against him based on nothing except the fact that he's male. And seeing a male having more authority is just something these young feminist employees can't stand. The reality is that men would rather work more freely with other men. This only serves to demonstrate how increasingly wary males have become of women throughout time, especially in the last 10 years, and how much they would prefer to communicate and work with other guys. Pitfall is that being together constitutes a common law marriage. How do you get around that?
Women are not desirable right now. Everyone's a Kim Kardashian clone. I asked you earlier, what don't men want? And you said promiscuity. Well, that seems about the only thing that's being offered right now. When I open my Instagram and I've got butt cheeks and I'm going, people are like, I don't understand why no one wants to, this woman's been married 4 times. I'm like, well, I can understand it, because even if men think they want it in the short term, when you see a girl, she's half naked, she looks good. Yeah, sure, you probably do want to have sex with her. I bet you're wired that way. You're hardwired that way. Yeah. But then what happens after you have sex with her and you realize that so did 20 other dudes 100%. In the same week, you don't want her.
You nailed it. You're absolutely not.
I've reached this point in my life where the strong, independent woman phase is dying down, like slowly dying down. Like I'm tired. Me? Tired.
People be mad at you for leaving them alone after they screwed up. People get mad at you for leaving them alone after they push you away.
The only power you have as a man in 2023 and beyond is you got to be able to walk away from a girl if she disrespects you. Mm-hmm.
After they take all their chances and all the time that you give them to push you away, they're mad when you finally move. I don't understand, man. I don't get it. What do they want? It's like people expect you to just stay, no matter what they do.
Here's how things are at every company you can think of, even the one you work at. Male superiors usually chat and then expect you to get the job done and praise you if you deserve it. Women will try to tear down another woman good at her job and will try to get her fired out of jealousy.
Thinking everything's fine, everything's cool, everything's great. Literally, mans ignores my presence. I'm not even there. I'm air. I'm like a ghost.
Flirting equals problem. Ignoring equals problem. No matter what we do, we have a problem.
Okay, cool. Like, that's the vibe we're on now? Okay, cool.
As a former male nurse, I had to constantly watch everything I did and sit around women. I now own a business, and I do not hire women.
Police say she lied about being raped by 2 football players so she wouldn't lose the interest of another guy. Jovino said she was raped back in 2016, but later admitted to making up that story.
What would you like to say to Jonathan Montgomery?
I am very sorry for the mistake that I've made and the lie that I told. And this is me taking responsibility for that.
In court, Coach said she lied about the sexual assault that sent Jonathan Montgomery away for 4.5 years.
Shoving somebody is battery. It's a crime.
Oh, honey.
I'm not your honey.
His friend rubbed his on my ass, and you guys have been sitting here like nothing happens.
We asked you what to pursue charges. You said you didn't. Well,
you guys have got...
If we don't have a victim, we
So then you want to look at me like I'm the bad person?
I watch you on video.
Do you feel okay treating me like this?
Yes. When I'm watching you
batter
you
feel
somebody,
okay? Okay. Oh, I battered him?
Yes. Unwanted touch or strike.
Okay.
For an unlawful reason.
Okay. I'm sorry that I am a woman sitting here feeling like she got sexually harassed Nothing's happening.